Hey, Shalom Akim, Shalom, Shalom. All praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone for teaching us his truth. And salutations to the sincere Akim and Aquath and they listen. May the blessing of election be upon your house. My name is Brother Raquai. I am back in here with another quick and Lord's will as always an edifying lesson. Just to go into a little bit of news and prophecy for this lesson. So it says U.S. aid's long list of crap. Carolyn Levitt cites millions in wasteful spending. So this is from thegazette.com, and it says the White House is defending its decision to gut the U.S. Agency for International Development, citing projects press Secretary Carolyn Levitt, and has repeatedly disguised as crap. So it says President Donald Trump, through Tesla, SpaceX, and ex-CEO Elon Musk, Department of Government Efficiency has recalled U.S. aid workers around the world before they are placed on administrative leave on Friday. So essentially, what the article really goes into is a list of different endeavors that was used, that money was allocated for. So a lot of these are very, very eye-opening, right? So so it says, hold on. So this is a quote, and it says, I would say just a strong message to Democrats who are out there pretending to be outraged but the long list of crap that this administration is cutting. It says Levitt told reporters on Wednesday briefing, naming examples from a list of programs Donald Trump has deemed wasteful. Democrats are outraged that the American people want their taxpayers going to good uses, not to stuff like this, right? So here are some of the examples, that the money was allocated for. So here it says $2 million. Hold on, Slakia. It says for sex changes and LGBT, activism in Guatemala, 6 million. It says, hold on, here's another one. This one, it says up to $10 million worth of U.S. aid-funded meals went to Al-Qaeda linked terrorist groups, the NURSA Front, right? So here, there's $500,000 to the group that empowers women in an attempt to solve sectarian violence in Israel just 10 days before Hamas's October 7th attacks. This says 4.67 million to EcoHealth Alliance, one of the key non-governmental organizations funded bat virus research at Wuhan Institute of Virology in late 2021. Okay, let's keep going. It says, this one says, hold on. This one says, Sri Lankan journalists to avoid binary gendered language. This one was 1.1 million. This one says 1.2 million to an LGBT Armenian group. This one says Salakia. This is 1.2 million to an African Methodist Episcopal Church service development agency in Washington to build a state-of-the-art 440-seat auditorium. $1.3 million to Arab and Jewish photographers, 1.5 million to promote LGBT advocacy in Jamaica. This one says 1.5 million to rebuild the Cuban media ecosystem. This one says 1.5 million for art and inclusion of people with disabilities. This one says 2 million to promote LGBT equality through entrepreneurship in developing the Latin American countries. Right? So hold on, let me just see this more. Oh, here's another one. 5.5 million in Uganda towards the LGBT movement, so to speak. This one is 3.9 million to LGBT causes in the Western Balkans. This one says 2.5 million to promote, in quotations, inclusion. So those are just covert words for the same LGBT movement, right? So this one is 6.3 million to men who have sex with men in South Africa. Charming. Let's see. So that's pretty much it. So these were a bunch of initiatives that were actually put forth, right? And as a matter of fact, let me just click on one of them as an example, because I clicked on the one for our LGBT in some government agency. So what I want to do is I want to link this in the description below, so you can actually see that this is money that was allocated towards some of these organizations. Essentially, what they're doing is pushing the American way is being essentially covertly, but now being pushed upon the not just the American people, but it's constantly pushed onto other sides of the world, right? So you're starting to see that that abominable, filthy wine that is being that's start to essentially seep into these different countries, especially a lot of these countries I listed here that are strongly against the Western way. So one of the ones I clicked on, let me just hold on, let me just okay, it shows the amount. It doesn't show, I was going through it a bit earlier, but now I can't find it. But what I'll do, I'll just link it in the description. But basically, this was money that was essentially wastefully spent on a bunch of a bunch of nonsense, basically, right? Let me get, hold on. Let me just, I guess I'll start off with this one in Ecclesiastes. This is Ecclesiastes 10:6, and it says, "Folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in a low place." Right. So you will see in this society that all of this allocation towards trying to bend the genders, trying to promote so-called inclusion, trying to promote an alphabet lifestyle, all of that is folly, and all of that is contrary to the ways of the Lord, right? Because what Esau is doing, with his power and with his resources, is promoting a lifestyle that is not, essentially, it's not conducive to life. Like, life cannot progress if people live that sort of lifestyle. This is why it says in Isaiah, oh, let me get that. Because Esau has so much pride to the point where he thinks that, let me just read it, one second. This is Isaiah 55 verse 9, and it says, "For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts, right? So, you know, this is the pride of this place, really and truly. There's so much pride to the point where these people constantly believe that their lifestyle and living in this particular way is progressing the society. And now we start to see things are becoming more degenerate. Men are becoming more feminine, the women are becoming more masculine, they're more divided more than ever, right? And through the philosophies that are pushed forth by these elites, by these universities, it shows that life is not, it's just on the decline. Like this is one of the biggest steps you can see why the society is crumbling, you know and it shows you America is slowly just digging their own grave by doing this. Because, and I say that because according to the prophecy, that wine, so a lot of the money that they were using to push forth that alphabet lifestyle is one of the reasons a lot of these countries in the East, a lot of these countries, for example, that belong to um, BRICS, you have Russia, China, India, Saudi Arabia, a lot of these Arab countries, a lot of these countries are strongly against the American way. A lot of them don't want the influence of America because they understand from a distance that that lifestyle is not conducive to life. They're looking at it and they're thinking, goodness, like, they don't want, they don't want to sip that wine either, right? For example, I remember seeing an article in regards to Nigeria, and essentially it was just talking, simply put about children's cartoons, and a lot of the children's cartoons are even pushing that wine also very covertly, because that's how Esau works. He's very sneaky, he's very covert, he's very hidden, crafty, especially with his words, with his media, right? As a matter of fact, let me get that, because a lot of our people don't seem to understand the type of enemy that they're working with here. They think that these philosophies, man, you get 1.5 million to for the children. You think, oh my goodness, that's good, right? But they don't understand the underlying effects of what happens to a nation when you push forth that nonsense, right? So this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 verse 16, and it says, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips. Man, 1.5 million, yo, sign me up. Especially if you're a nation and you think that you're not as well off as America. You think that, man, this is a good opportunity, let me capitalize on this. Well, hold on, let me finish. But it says, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep, and with his eyes will he find opportunity. But excuse me, he will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will be satisfied with blood, right? So it shows you the mindset, because how people think that, okay, you think that, oh, this guy, he just gave me free money, right? But there is stipulations that come with that money. There is you know there's a hidden hand that comes, there's an agenda that comes with that money, and a lot of that agenda is essentially is what is doing is to poison the minds of your nation. And that's what America has really done to you so-called you Israelites as a whole. Because what did they do? They took the fathers out of the household, right? And then they propped the women up on a pedestal and bamboozled them, you know and the women think, a lot of our women think especially, They don't think they need any men. They don't want men. They want to delete men. They think men ain't shit. Men are this and men are that. And then they think they can do it all on their own. And then they have children, and they raise children without any sort of stability. They raise children that produce, essentially, they become monsters. They become very ungodly. They become very emotional. They lack logic. They lack reason. They lack respect for elders. They lack respect for, well, basically themselves. And so they become agents of chaos, right? And this is what America is slowly turning into. Well, not even slowly turn into, it's there already. Right? But it's really, really subtle, right? And this is what, it really goes back to that wine, right? uh Let me get this right here. This is Genesis 3 and 6, and it says, "And the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. And she took the fruit thereof and did eat, and also gave her husband, and gave also her husband, excuse me, and did eat," right? So, through that fruit, those different philosophies, they by partaking in this, they realize that, it looks pleasant at first, but then the end all and be all is destruction, right? This is when you slowly start to die, you start to, decay, right? And Jake doesn't understand that, because Jake doesn't understand how dangerous their enemy is. The enemy is extremely patient. Esau is very patient when it comes to, plotting out wickedness. They'll to the T, right? When it comes to the destruction of our families, like just our family household, going back as far as, what was that, the 1960s, right? And now you have a bunch of children rolling around, who don't know the importance of a father, right? But going back to the topic in regards to the wine, because that's something that I want to touch on also. This is Jeremiah 51, verse 7, and it says, "Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad," right? So now when they sober up, and then they start to realize, like, yo, this has been destroying our nation. This is why a lot of these countries, especially the BRICS nations, because a lot of these countries, even a lot of the smaller nations too, from what I'm noticing too, because they're pushing a lot of those philosophies upon a lot of the smaller nations, and a lot of these smaller nations are going to be in that, that they're going to have a strong distaste for America. So, we're living in a time where America doesn't really have too many friends. Like, if I'm being completely honest, you know, not only do they dislike the ways, because a lot of these countries, especially a lot of these Arab countries that actually adhere to some sort of decency and order, they have a mindset of trying to preserve the so-called conservative, Islamic values that they have, right? They want to preserve that. They want their women in order. They don't want their children coming home and saying, I'm two-spirited, or I'm demisexual or pansexual. They want a sense of modesty. They want proper governance, I should say, right? They want family structure. They don't want those philosophies permeating in their nation, because they see how detrimental it is to actually, for example, putting some women up on a pedestal and getting them out of the workplace, so on and so forth, right? They know the detrimental effects that it has on the nation, right? But you have a lot of these nations that are trying to shun those ways. China is trying to ban their certain movies, because America is pushing that same philosophy in their movies, and they use a lot of their celebrities, especially Jake's celebrities, to push forth this foolishness, to push forth this filth, right? Jake is just a poster child for wickedness and doesn't see that, because they're still in the congregation of the dead, right? I'll read that again, and it says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations are drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad, right? So this is why America is going to have a very harsh judgment. Not only that the nations are mad because of the philosophies, but from another angle also from their allies. The nations are also mad because of, you have this boastful fellow, you know Donnie Duck, that that's essentially, he's placing terrorists on his own allies, right? And that's and even their own allies are going to have a lot of hate for them, right? That's also prophetic, right? So verse 8, it says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed. And there's no healing Babylon at all, man. Babylon is finished. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and lifted up even to the skies, right? So we saw even a little snippet of that early last month, when you had a lot of those celebrities. They were bragging and boasting, and essentially, basically, they were mocking the Most High. And then 2 days later on, there was a whole fire, right? And that's all praises to Yahweh Bashem Shai, because we can't even imagine the kinds of wickedness that these people get into, right? So that's pretty much the point. I kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit, but America is a shameless nation. America is truly a shameless nation. As a matter of fact, let me get this. I guess I'll end off with this one. This is Sirach 42:11, and it says, Keep watch over a shameless daughter, lest she make thee a laughing stock in to thine enemies, and it become a byword in the city and a reproach among the people, and make thee ashamed before the multitude. All right, and when you look at, for example, the politics, the presidential election that happened a couple months ago, these other nations, they don't take America seriously. America is just a shameless woman. She's just doing what she wants, right, without actually thinking about the repercussions, right? Like a shameless woman. A woman she's not shamefaced, where she's actually considering her consequences. She's shameless. So she essentially, it's like that scripture that says, she wipeth her mouth and said, oh man, I've done no wickedness, right? Right? So that's the spirit that America's in, and which is very, 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 very interesting, because that's how a lot of their physical women are in America. That is the same mentality. That's how America is that great whore that sitteth upon many waters, right? So is the king, just as is the people, right? And you can tell a lot about the kings who are ruling, right, just by the way the manner of the people are conducted, right? So anyways, I'll leave it off there, but I'll try and get this link in the description, and I'll post it. But Lord willing, you brothers and sisters were edified. Just like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashem Shai. Until next time, I say Shalom.